go. That's what I meant to hit. Okay, just checking. There we go. Hello, everyone. I'll get to everyone in a second. Just gotta post this around first, because, you know, that's how I usually do. While I post it around, how's everyone doing? Y'all having a good weekend so far? Okay, post there. There we go. Let's see. Post 8. Post, there it goes. Moi oi boy, it's time to draw. Yes, it is. I'll get started in a second. I just gotta share around the stream link real quick. I usually do that whenever I do this. So just give me a minute to share this around, and then I'll be able to get started. But like I asked, for anyone that's just joining in and they didn't get to hear my question, how's everyone's weekend been? There and I think that'll do for now. It seems fine now. Don't worry about that. Yeah, I'm gonna pull up the chat on a separate thing. Hello, Scoot. There we go. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and get started on the arting, and I'm gonna do something a bit differently this time. So usually all you really have to hear whenever I do art streams is just my voice, and I figured I put on some, backing audio to accompany that. I'm not gonna put on any music because I don't want to risk, copyrights and whatnot. Instead, I'm actually going to put on excuse me. I'm gonna put on a video from a user that I've been following for a couple of months. Actually, more like a year or so. He's called Always Nerdy, and he does retrospectives on various comic book related games. I'm gonna put on one of these in the background just to see how this works. If if it gets too distracting or anything, feel free to let me know. But I want to see how this works first, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn on one of his videos. Let me see if the volume is... That should do. And we're gonna get started on doodling.
By the end of 2011, Rocksteady Studios had released two largely successful and critically acclaimed Batman games, Batman Arkham Asylum and Batman Arkham City. Still, they weren't done yet and had ambitious plans for a third game to really cap off their Arkham series. This game would later be known as Batman Arkham Knight. However, Rocksteady knew that in order to fully realize their plans for Arkham Knight, they'd need 3 years of development time, which would mean that there would be a long gap between Arkham City and Arkham Knight. Knowing this ahead of time, they informed parent company Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment to see how they wanted to approach this Arkham gap. Warner decided that the best approach would be to have another company take the reins on a separate Arkham game, while Rocksteady worked diligently on Arkham Knight. This brings us to WB Montreal, the team tasked with taking on this new Arkham game. WB Montreal was an unexpected choice though, because they were such a newly established studio, having only been founded by Warner Brothers Interactive in 2010. However, they did have some experience with the Arkham franchise, since their first project was to develop Rocksteady's Arkham City for the Wii U, titled Batman Arkham City Armored Edition. This edition was largely the same as the original Arkham City game, with some minor additions for the Wii U, such as a reimagined functionality of Batman's gadgets to utilize the Wii U gamepad. The experience developing Armored Edition was beneficial to WB Montreal because it gave them extra familiarity with Rocksteady's codebase, which also provided an easier transition into creating this new game. The decision was also made to have this new Arkham game be a prequel, which provided them with some additional creative liberties. This attracted creative director Eric Holmes to the project, and in the same interview, he describes why he preferred the idea of a prequel over something taking place after Arkham City.
If you're at issue 600 of a comic, it's very hard to tell a new story. The challenge for us coming in after Rocksteady is to do something which hasn't been done, and do something which isn't a retread and isn't copy-paste of their game. It has to add value, it has to be new. To me, that's the key to that prequel is that invigoration that it adds to things.
This new game would be titled Batman Arkham Origins, and WB Montreal were eager to tell their own Batman stories set in the Arkham universe. Rocksteady was very supportive of WB Montreal's endeavors as well, giving them all of their code and assets from Batman Arkham City and Asylum. In an interview with Game Informer, Arkham Knight game director Sefton Hill explains what the handoff to WB Montreal was like. To be honest, mainly we said, make the game you want to make. We wanted them to be really passionate about the game they wanted to make. The main involvement was, take our code, make the best Arkham game that you can make. Sefton goes on to state that the only story limitations that were given to WB Montreal were that they were asked not to step on the toes of the Arkham Knight story. Rocksteady had that story outlined fairly early on and were able to provide it to WB Montreal, making sure that there wouldn't be any conflicts. Other than that, Rocksteady gave WB Montreal free reign over their story, and Sefton confirms that Rocksteady considers the story of Arkham Origins canon. Speaking of which, the story of Arkham Origins takes place 2 years
Hello, thank you for joining us.
Batman, roughly 8 years before the events of Batman Arkham Asylum. At this point in time, it's said that Batman has been establishing a name for himself in Gotham, but has really only had to deal with low-level crime like drug dealers and thieves. That all changes during the events of Arkham Origins, though, when Black Mask puts a bounty worth $50 million on Batman's head, inviting some of the world's deadliest assassins to hunt him down. This is a whole new level of threat that Batman has never dealt with before, meaning he'll be facing noteworthy supercriminals for the first time in Origins, such as Bane, Deathstroke, and the Joker. This was an exciting premise, but fans still had some concerns, namely, how WB Montreal would handle the gameplay of the tried-and-true Rocksteady systems. Would they make a lot of changes, or hardly any at all? In an interview with the Girls on Games, Ben Mattis describes how they approached making changes to the core gameplay mechanics of the Arkham series, as well as adding new things of their own.
So, obviously you mentioned there is the content here, right? The narrative and that sort of thing. But that's
Mention me in peace. Don't quite know what that means.
We took in this game is if it's not, if it's not broken, don't fix it model. So we did not say, oh, we're going to do a better fighting system than free flow combat, which, by our biased opinion, is an industry class hand-to-hand melee fighting system. But what we did do is we looked for special opportunities to what we do called move the needle, like invest in that one key area, those key gadgets, those key enemies that is going to make a significant impact on the player's experience.
Ben further goes on to state that they heavily invested in expanding the open world. The open world of Arkham Origins is over twice the size of Arkham City, featuring a new area, South Gotham, also called New Gotham, with Pioneer's Bridge connecting the two. They also added random events in the city, allowing you to stop crimes in progress as you roam around Gotham. One of the most noticeable differences, though, is the Christmas aesthetic of the game, since the story takes place entirely on Christmas Eve night. Gotham is full of snow and Christmas decorations, and creative director Eric Holmes tells Game Informer that a Christmas theme was chosen due to how the prettiness of Christmas contrasts with the ugliness of Gotham. Here's the quote. "It's a beautiful thing in an ugly place. It adds an ironic humor to things without breaking the seriousness of the theme, which is really fun for us." The voice cast was also changed up for Arkham Origins, since WB Montreal wanted these characters
say my name. Also, are you a fan of Batman? Yes, I am, actually. I've actually, just as a bit of context, I've actually been going through a bit of an Arkham binge. Like, I'm currently playing through Batman Arkham City via the Arkham Collection on the Switch, which honestly I think is a perfectly fine. Well, not I don't know for Arkham Knight since I haven't played it yet, and I'm not in a massive hurry to play it yet. But for Arkham Asylum and City, I'd say the Switch versions are actually fairly decent. Like, provided you're not like a frame rate snob and you have like no other means of really playing the games, I'd say you wouldn't be that worse off using the Switch versions.
Xbox 360, Wii U, and PC. For this video, I played the PC version of the game, which is where all the gameplay clips that you'll see came from. I should mention that I also played the game using a gamepad, specifically an Xbox One controller, so if you see any Xbox buttons...
Hello to you too, Ashley. I hope you're doing well.
If you enjoy this video, I'd appreciate it if you gave it a like, since it helps the channel, and you can also subscribe if you'd like to see more retrospectives like this one. My goal for this video was to be as comprehensive as possible, and as I'm sure you've already noticed, this will be a much longer video, so kick back, relax, and let's start by delving into the story of Batman Arkham Origins. So the intro cutscene of this was actually getting copyright flags for the score, so I'll have to describe it a bit, which is a shame because it's actually a pretty badass cutscene. To start, it opens with a lot of frantic cuts as the bats run from Bruce as he enters the Batcave. I like this a lot since it immediately gives us a sense of fear associated with Bruce. We also get a lot of story background in this one cutscene as Bruce watches the news from the Batcomputer. The news states that Gotham is under a severe winter storm warning, urging the citizens to stay in their homes until everything is cleared. This provides a story reason as to why Gotham City is free of innocent bystanders, but full of criminals and corrupt cops. The news also announces the arrest of Julian Day, aka the Calendar Man, a killer whose murders are associated with various holidays. Calendar Man has been given the death penalty, with the execution date set for tonight, which is ironically Christmas Eve. Giving the announcement is Gotham's Commissioner Loeb, not James Gordon. This is so early on in Batman's career that Gordon hasn't even become...
So where are you drawing today or tonight? Honestly, just whatever kind of comes out to me. I've been feeling like a little bit lethargic lately, and I'm trying to fight off this artist block that I've been having for a while, so I'm just doodling whatever immediately comes to my mind.
Blackgate prison, led by Roman Sionis, aka Black Mask. Black Mask has reportedly taken Commissioner Loeb hostage, so it's up to Batman to rescue him. We get the suit-up sequence as Bruce goes into Batman mode, and we take the Batwing to Blackgate prison to stop the riots and save Commissioner Loeb. As soon as we enter the prison, we rescue Warden Joseph from one of Black Mask's thugs. Understandably terrified by this whole ordeal, he panics and takes a swing at us too. Once he calms down, he points us in the direction of Black Mask. If we talk to him more, we'll find out that he was complicit to a degree with this breakout. Apparently, Black Mask threatened his family, requesting that he clear his men out of one of the wings in Blackgate. Out of fear, the warden obliged. We'll later see a clip of this, which indicates how he lost his eye. As we continue through the prison, we spot a random drone flying through, but we don't know who it belongs to yet. We also come across news reporter Vicky Vale and need to save her from some of Black Mask's thugs, one of our first combat encounters in the game. Regarding the combat, it's pretty much the same as the other Arkham games. You'll have your basic attack button causing Batman to strike enemies, and you have a counter button that you'll press right before the enemy attacks you, as indicated by the glowing lines above their heads. Stringing together combos is important since you'll get progressively faster and gain the ability to take an enemy down immediately once you reach a combo of 5 or higher based on the skills that you've unlocked. You're also incentivized not to button mash, since improperly timing attacks will often reset your combo counter back to 0, hindering your effectiveness. It's a relatively simple system, but it's fast-paced and tests your reflexes, which makes it a lot of fun. Eventually, we encounter Black Mask, who parades Commissioner Loeb through the prison and towards the execution chamber. With the meta-knowledge that one day Gordon will become commissioner, it's safe to say things aren't looking too good for Loeb right now.
Working on animation, and I'm already fatigued mentally. Yeah, I mean, like, the animation is quite a bit more demanding than just a single drawing, so I can imagine that being pretty taxing as it is. You'll get through it, I know you will. Hey, kiddo, how are you? Did you see the... Yeah, what does this say? No, I have not, but honestly, this is my first time hearing of such a thing.
It was also Judge Harkness who decided on Christmas Eve as the execution date, calling it poetic justice. So this is likely why he's on Calendar Man's hit list. We can also see a note on the wall that reads, "Happy Holidays, Julian," with the initials HQ. I believe this is a note from Harley Quinzel, who will later know as Joker's
That's good to hear, Dolly. I hope your day's been doing good.
She hasn't gone full clown princess at this point in time, and is instead a psychiatric intern at Blackgate. She was tasked with giving the initial psychological evaluation of Calendar Man, who she deemed insane. However, at the behest of the judge, Warden Joseph ordered her to re-evaluate him, but this time mark him as sane. If she didn't, he threatened to fire her. She reluctantly agreed, but managed to talk her way into evaluating all new criminals as they enter the prison, which will be important later. There's also another audio file where she's calling a patient on behalf of the office of psychiatrist Dr. Hugo Strange, a villain we'll become very familiar with in Batman Arkham City. Furthermore, we can even find Strange's office called Strange Minds, as well as a poster for his self-help seminars. Continuing through the prison, though, we eventually make it to the execution chamber as Black Mask greets
That's
Spider-Man.
sweet. I hope she's having a good birthday.
Before Batman can make it into the room, they flip the gas chamber on and Loeb is killed. Even though Loeb was an extremely corrupt cop, Batman is pissed that Black Mask murdered someone and continues to pursue him. Along the way, we come across that drone from earlier, smashed by Killer Croc. Batman removes the memory card for future analysis and continues to the roof of the prison. By the time we catch up, Black Mask and his men have already boarded the helicopter and made their escape. However, Killer Croc has an enhanced sense of smell and was able to tell that we were nearby, so he waits to handle us himself, leading into our first boss fight of the game. Croc is incredibly quick and powerful, so we can't beat him head on. Instead, we'll use our cape to stun him, and then pummel him while he's dazed. After a while, he'll pick up an explosive canister to throw at us, but if we launch a batarang at it, it'll explode on him instead. Croc will also occasionally grab us and attempt to bite our head off, which is really terrifying. I feel bad about this, but I wanted to see what would happen if I didn't push him off,
There
and
we
you can
go.
rest easy knowing that he doesn't
I feel like a more
successfully bite your head off.
cartoonier
Instead,
human would be a
Batman uses his
better
combat
way of
as a
getting on my
defense.
feet.
For
What?
first boss fight though, Croc is pretty solid. He tests your basic combat skills and also requires you to use your quick-fire batarangs, which will be handy in later fights as well. He's challenging without being too overwhelming, and I think he was a good introductory battle. But after doing enough damage to Croc, we get the upper hand and interrogate him for info on Black Mask. Instead, Croc reveals that Mask put a bounty on Batman's head, calling in different assassins to kill the Bat for a cash
Hey,
prize.
how's it going?
Gordon
Doing
shows
good.
up,
Thank you
attempting
for
to
hopping
arrest
by.
Batman and Croc, but Batman
It has no
manages to
crashes,
escape
no
with
lags,
Batman,
and runs
leaving
smooth.
Croc
No, that's neat.
apprehended by the
Oh,
police.
so it's like,
Then
so I
we
take it it's like a mod of Unleashed? Like, for some reason I thought it was like a reanimated of one of the cutscenes, because I want to say one of those was also being worked on as well.
Black Mask isn't messing around.
Well, right now I'm drawing Luigi, because I'm having trouble really thinking of much else to draw.
Failed, you say? Garfield Lens, aka Firefly, burns on 90% of his body. His obsession is going to be his end.
How unlike anyone I know.
Here's a face I don't recognize. Copperhead. Strange. These reports reference a male, not a female.
14 escapes, huh? Well, you won't forget nothing. What the?
Yes, the Lug boy.
Floyd Lawton, aka Deadshot.
What is this audio? It is a retrospective review of Batman Arkham Origins. I decided to do something a bit different for my art streams, where instead of only hearing my voice, I decided to have a podcast playing in the background. I didn't want to play music because I didn't want to risking like copyright strikes or whatnot, so I figured something like this would have been like a safe, a safer alternative.
Bane, here, in Gotham. Why would he be taking money as a hired killer?
There are a couple details that I thought were interesting during this cutscene as well. The first is that WB Montreal used a location from Arkham City for Deathstroke's introduction, the museum where we face Penguin. Batman also mentions the records for Copperhead reference a male, which is a sly nod to the fact that Copperhead was a male.
Also, today is my
While we're in
half
the
birthday.
Batcave, we can take a moment
I
to
see.
explore and see
What
Batman
exactly
can do.
constitutes it being like a half birthday, if I can ask?
The first column of investigation seems to be based on the various crime families in Gotham, specifically the Falcones and the Maronis, who are often going to war with each other. There's a post-it note reading, "Case closed, Maroni," so it seems a trial is in motion for the Maronis at least. As far as the Falcones, we won't see much of them in the game, but we will see Alberto Falcone a bit later on, son of Crime Lord Carmine Falcone. The third column on the board is for Calendar Man, which was kind of resolved up until Black Mask set him free. Lastly is the middle column, focusing on the Red Hood gang. This is separate from the future character Red Hood, who we won't see until Batman Arkham Knight. Instead, this is a gang whose leader is often seen wearing a red helmet and a red cape. We'll talk about this one a lot more as we get deeper into the story though, so keep that in mind. Also in the Batcave is an incomplete Batmobile with blueprints and parts around it. We'll later see this same Batmobile completed at the beginning of Arkham Asylum. There's also a workshop where we'll pick up new gadgets, and we can see that Bruce is working on building the Line Launcher, a gadget we'll have access to in the later games.
Cool.
There's also a medical center and a training area in the Batcave.
Why does
and
one
it's
of the
really
guys
cool
sound
being
like
able to roam
Sonic?
around the cave and
Oh, that's because Batman in Arkham Origins is voiced by Roger Craig Smith.
I feel bad for him though. He'll often mention how he's concerned for Bruce and how he wishes
When I
he could
think
just
of
stay
Batman,
home so
I
they
think
can
of
have Christmas
Nickelback.
dinner and open gifts together.
I can't say
He'll
I'm
also occasionally
super
mention how
familiar with
Bruce is harassed
Nickelback,
by
so I'll
a
just take your word on that.
who he calls King Bat.
I've seen a rather large bat in the cave, sir. Do take care not to anger it.
I wasn't planning to.
Good. With everything occurring tonight, the last thing we need is a pest problem.
I'm sure it's harmless, Alfred.
You haven't seen the creature.
This is likely the bat we saw during that opening cutscene. But despite Alfred's wishes that we stay home, we continue our investigation into Black Mask, this time heading to Jezebel Plaza, the location where the drone was meant to return after spying on Black Mask. When we get to Jezebel Plaza, we discover an arms deal going down, led by Penguin's crew. Batman wants to question Penguin about what he knows, and decides that the leader of this arms deal is the best one to interrogate. That's this guy with the Santa hat, Ricky Loose Lips LeBlanc. After taking out the rest of his crew, Batman takes a crack at interrogating him.
Speaking of which, I'm going to Game Expo and I'm going to meet Jason Griffith. That's nice. I hope you have a fun time there. If you didn't know, there was a TV spot for Batman Begins where they add Nickelback song to it, which makes the movie look like a romance movie. Interesting.
Damn.
Batman goes a little too hard here and accidentally causes Ricky to pass out. This is a good example of how WB Montreal tried to show Batman as more of a novice at the vigilante thing. In an interview with Game Reactor, Ben Mattis describes how they approached Batman making mistakes early in his career. It's not cool to trip over your cape. It's not cool to get stabbed in the leg when you're trying to save someone. That's not a heroic, empowering Batman. We like to say when our character makes mistakes, they're awesome mistakes. This is definitely an awesome mistake since Batman was a little too badass in that moment, but he still has to find a way to make Ricky talk. When Ricky finally wakes up, he's in for an even worse interrogation than before.
Wake up.
Time to talk. Where's Cobblepot?
Let me go.
If you insist.
As he's dangling from the building, Ricky's phone starts to go off, and it's a message from the Penguin. Ricky is willing to talk now, but Batman no longer needs him, since he can just trace Penguin's location from the
Who's
SIM
the
card.
best live
Instead of
action
wheeling Ricky back
Batman?
up, he just drops him under the Christmas tree below, which I
From
think
what
is
I've
nice.
seen,
Also, I just wanna
I don't know if I can
mention
really
some
say
shot
because
calls
like
and
most
stuff.
of my live action
Maybe
Batman
an extra
experience
job
mainly
for
stems from the Burton Schumacher films and like 2/3 of the Nolan films. Like I haven't seen The Batman and I haven't seen Dawn of Justice, so I don't know how a Batflick handles, so I'm guessing of the ones that I've personally seen, I do have an attachment to Michael Keaton's Batman, but again, I feel like I need to watch the other ones in order to have like a proper answer to that.
See in the virtual world. Yeah. So if I move around, it's like being in that world. It's giving us a bit of that handheld.
Lovely
feel.
Luigi sketch. Oh, thank you.
It's giving us some realism.
It's not even finished yet, but I appreciate you saying that.
We're able to track him to an old cruise ship that's been transformed into a hideout. Upon arrival, there's a pretty cool Easter egg on the wall, a flyer for a psychological study conducted by Jonathan Crane. Crane later becomes the villain Scarecrow, but starts off as a psychologist interested in the way the brain processes fear. His study is likely on this topic and foreshadows his eventual rise to villainy. Inside the final offer, we learn this is also the same night that Penguin is conducting a fighting arena on the boiler deck, with the winner getting a chance to go up against his prize fighter, the Electrocutioner, one of the 8 assassins tasked with killing Batman. Batman drops in on the boiler deck, and Electrocutioner comes out to handle him.
Just save me a lot of trouble coming here, Batman. I'll kill you. Then I'm gonna jumpstart your heart. And kill you again.
He's set up to be our next boss fight, and he's ready to rumble. He's incredibly arrogant, but it turns out that he's all bark, no bite, and Batman takes him out with one hit. I thought this was pretty funny, and I like how they even gave him a full health bar as he entered the arena. It reminded me a lot of the Mysterio fight from Spider-Man 2, the way the player is made to think that this will be an intense fight, only for it to end as soon as you press the
Hi, Jordan. I hope you're doing well.
Electrocutioner down, Penguin's right-hand woman Tracy tells all the henchmen to rush Batman and take him down. After taking them all out, we can continue our hunt for Penguin. As we progress through the ship, Tracy sends us a message over the intercom telling us that Electrocutioner has woken up and escaped. This is another mistake on Batman's end, and he acknowledges that he should have tied him up and sent the cops to retrieve him. However, in the theme of Batman making awesome mistakes, he's able to turn this negative into a positive by having Alfred scan the city for energy signatures matching Electrocutioner's gloves. While Alfred gets to work on that, we continue to pursue Penguin. Continuing through the ship,
Doing
we also
good,
find
thanks
an
for
Easter
asking.
egg based on
Yeah,
the
I'm
story.
doing fine.
Penguin's voiceover
Just doing this because I kind of want to try to fight off this bit of art block that I have.
Batman show where the actor portraying Penguin was named Oliver Burgess Meredith. We can also enter Penguin's office, which has a few other Easter eggs within it. First, in one of the cases, we can see a bunch of umbrellas, which is his trademark weapon. In the comics, Penguin has umbrellas that conceal various weapons, usually a gun, but sometimes a knockout gas or some kind of propeller he can use to fly. We can also find a newspaper on the wall stating that Gotham is now the second most dangerous city, which makes me nervous for whatever city is the first. We can also find blueprints for the Iceberg Lounge, which will end
Can
up
you
being
make
Penguin's place of
TFP
operations
knockout
later
voice
on.
impression
There's also a
or
list of
not?
hijackings,
I mean, like,
naming
I
something that
could,
company
but I'm
based
mostly
in
just
the
wanting to
Deathstroke
focus on my art at the
character
moment
John
than,
Kane
like,
Iron,
doing
Bane becomes the
voice
hero of
impressions.
S.H.I.E.L.D. If that
I mean,
sounds
like, I think
familiar, you might
maybe later
recognize
down the
it.
line
It's
I
a bullshit
can
movie
take a
where
couple
you
of, like,
voice
voice
Shaft.
requests,
There's
but
also
I'm not
Deathstroke,
making it, like, a
played
priority
by
at the moment.
Superman nemesis Lex Luthor. Last on the list is Queen Industries, owned by Oliver Queen, aka the Green Arrow. Next to this list is another one for weapon orders from the various assassins in Gotham, like Deathstroke and Deadshot. Bane even has his own special box down below, full of rockets and rocket launchers, something we'll see him using later in the story. Eventually, we track down Penguin as he tortures Alberto Falcone. Penguin's goal is to convince Alberto to talk his father into leaving the weapons business, leaving it open for Penguin to take over. Batman interrupts and starts to beat on Penguin for information about Black Mask.
I kind of
He's
forgot that the
successful as Penguin tells him to
Electrocutioner is
investigate
complete
Lacey's
jump in
powers,
Origins.
but
Oh,
Black
absolutely.
Mask
Like,
doesn't
he
tell
is
Penguin
meant to
before he
be,
can
like,
tell
a
us more
joke
or interact
character
with
in
another
many
assassin,
regards.
Deathstroke. This brings us back into the fighting pit against an extremely skilled opponent. Deathstroke is a weapons expert and highly skilled martial artist. Batman is as well, but Deathstroke matches his skill, making him a major threat, and he's commonly considered to be one of the deadliest assassins in the DC universe. So this is going to be a big step up from the enemies we faced prior to this. This is also potentially my favorite boss fight in the game, since it feels like a really tense one-on-one battle. You won't do well button mashing against Deathstroke, since he can block your attacks and take advantage of any openings you give him. Even with the attack indicators over his head, you still need to stay on your toes as he'll attack quickly, often multiple times. The fight itself is pretty straightforward, attack when you can and counter his strikes, but it's a fairly long battle and too many errors can be your downfall. As the fight progresses, he'll become more aggressive and attack more frequently. Eventually, Batman will break his staff and he'll pull out a sword, giving him new attack animations that you'll have to adapt to. I love this though because both of them feel evenly matched and it feels like you really have to focus during this entire fight. I think WB Montreal really nailed the feeling of a Deathstroke boss battle, and I go so far as to say that it's one of the best boss fights.
Hello to you too, Leonardo. Hope you're doing good.
By the way, just a fun detail about Deathstroke is that he was the inspiration for Marvel's Deadpool. Deathstroke was introduced to comics first, nearly a decade before Marvel would use him as the baseline for Deadpool. Both are skilled mercenaries, and you can see similarities in their costumes. Marvel didn't even play coy about it, naming their character's alter ego nearly the same thing as DC's. Deathstroke is Slade Wilson, while Deadpool is Wade Wilson. But anyway, after finally taking down Deathstroke, Batman takes one of his gadgets for himself, the Remote Claw, a unique gadget to this game, although it has similar components to the Line Launcher. Meanwhile, Penguin has taken advantage of Deathstroke's unintentional distraction, reaching higher ground to taunt us before heading inside his locked room with the ladies. We can't get to Penguin now, but we can still use the lead he gave us earlier, which was to investigate Black Mask's hideout in Lacey Towers. When we arrive, we see that it's a murder crime scene. There's a woman hanging from a chandelier, and a dead body on the floor who appears...
I actually recognize the YouTuber you're listening to because I watched his Ultimate Alliance 3 impression not that long ago. Yeah, actually I did too. Like, I've been re-watching a couple of his other ones that I've seen already before I caught up with, like, some of the ones that I haven't seen. Like, he made one based on that canceled Daredevil game that I started a couple days ago. I just hadn't gotten around to finishing it yet. I never got into Ben Affleck's Batman. Think he's better off playing Daredevil. Again, I want to wait and see for myself, because it's funny, like, I hear he's considered by a lot of people to be one of the better aspects of Dawn of Justice, but I also heard that, like, he is, in terms of accuracy to the character, like, far from accurate, considering that, like, again, from what I've seen or heard of him from people that have seen it, this is a Batman that really has no qualms against killing. Like, I know he grows out of it by the end of the movie, but it's the fact that it's a joke I've heard a lot of people point out the fact that, like, if Batman is more than capable of killing in this universe, why is Joker still running around?
Bloodstains in the interrogation rooms, just a couple small examples of how cruel this police force can be. To further emphasize that the police are Batman's enemy, we'll overhear a meeting where corrupt SWAT leader Brandon informs his men that he struck a deal with Black Mask to include them on the bounty for Batman's head. If any of them kill the Bat, they'll all split the $50 million. So Batman has no friends on this police force. While we're in this room, though, Batman says to himself that he won't stand a chance against this many armed men, and that we should sneak past them. I wanted to test that out, though, since I was curious to see if there were any Easter eggs for beating them all up. It was tough, but I was actually able to do it. Unfortunately, nothing happens if you do, but it was still fun, though. Nevertheless, our journey through the GCPD brings us into contact with our old friend Loose Lips again. By the way, that is not a nickname you want in prison. Anyway, Loose Lips is under interrogation and reveals that the cops have locked up a gadget of his, an electronic disruptor. Batman decides to interrogate him again to learn more about the device, and we take a detour to evidence lockup to retrieve it. Along the way, we also overhear an argument between Gordon and his daughter Barbara. It seems that Barbara believes that Batman is an ally, and what he's doing is justified. Gordon disagrees. Barbara storms off, and Gordon follows her. We can actually then investigate his office, but there's not a lot of interesting details in it. There are criminal boards of the people Gordon is hunting, as well as his degree from Chicago Green University. I never knew his middle name was Worthington, though. There's also a photo on his desk of who I believe to be his wife, Barbara Keene, since that looks to be red hair to me. However, Barbara Keene and James eventually get a divorce in the comics, and he later remarries a woman named Sarah. Mario! So it's actually Sarah in this photo and not Barbara, but I couldn't find any confirmation either way. Eventually, we make it to the evidence lockup and retrieve the disruptor to help us continue through the precinct. As we're leaving, though, a huge riot has begun in the holding cells not far from us. We immediately jump in and take down the rioting convicts, containing the riot before it's able to spread through the building. We weren't quite fast enough, though, since it seems one cop was severely wounded and paramedics are attempting to defibrillate him back to life. Playing through this the first time,
there we go, that's Doodle 1.
Were here and seemingly given a spotlight by the game for no reason.
How long was
Can't
that?
interact with them, and they pay no mind to the giant bat running through the hall.
Got that one done quicker than usual. Like, I've noticed, like, the last couple of art streams I've done, the first drawing always takes the longest.
But now that we have the disruptor, we can enter the server room and gain access to the National Criminal Database.
Let's see.
To our surprise, Gordon's daughter is also in the server room, and we have a brief interaction with her.
Can I give a suggestion? Sure. You know what? Go ahead. Like, I usually take at least one stream request. So what do you have in mind? Most of the people that Daredevil kills are thugs and criminals. He never goes after in the instant. I mean, that's just like a lot of superheroes in general. They never, or at least they never try to go after innocent people, just criminals. What they do with the criminals obviously varies from villain to villain, but I think the point still stands.
As we're leaving, we can hear
Brandon can you draw tails with
one of his men, arguing over whether Batman has a gun on him.
His laser
Could be
gun
a slight reference to the early days of Batman
sure,
comics,
why not?
Where he actually did carry a gun. It wasn't until later that DC decided that it was best to remove that from his arsenal. As we're leaving the GCPD via elevator, we inadvertently run into Gordon.
I don't want to hurt you, but you need to stay out of my way. Never. Listen, I'm on your side.
My side? My side works within the law. My side doesn't leave suspects with broken bones and missing teeth. We've earned Gotham's respect.
If that were true, I wouldn't believe you.
Gordon, clear the line of fire! Hold your fire. If he moves, take him down. You've got nowhere to run. Move, Gordon! I'm taking him down!
We take out Brandon and his men, but Gordon was incapacitated from when we threw him against the wall. We'll have to leave him there for now and continue our investigation of the murder scene. With access to the criminal database, Batman is able to solve the murder.
Someone spooked Sionis' girlfriend, so he sent her to his safe house, which was anything but safe. Sionis showed up later, ready for trouble, and found it. Or so it seemed. All that remained was to tie up loose ends. But it wasn't the fire that killed Sionis' girlfriend. What kind of monster forces a man to kill the ones he loves? The Joker. He's the shadow I've been chasing. And now I know where he's going next. Gotham Merchants Bank.
With the murder
Hi,
solved,
Kago.
we next
Hope you're
head to
doing good.
Gotham Merchants Bank in hopes of
Well, thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying this so far.
rescuing Roman Sionis. By the time we arrive, though, Joker has already done a ton of damage, killing all of the guards and some of Black Mask's men, displaying them all around the bank. A few of them also have a TV smashed over their heads, calling back to a similar gag Joker used in the Arkham Asylum game. I also like how on this desk you can see some magazines from the Gotham Informer, which I think is based on the real-life National Enquirer, with inflammatory headlines meant to get you to impulse buy them. One references Bruce Wayne being drunk and out of control, while the other mentions that Gotham will be receiving 400 inches of snow. There's also a subheadline about a crocodile in the Gotham sewers, which is a reference to Killer Croc. Even though Joker has caused a lot of destruction here, it seems he hasn't left the building yet, so we decide to drop in for the big reveal.
Think you can just waltz into my bank, huh?
Roman, I'm here for the Joker.
The Joker? Never heard of him. How about you, dog? Know the Joker?
The who?
Go.
And you, sir? Name Joker ring a bell? You son of a bitch! You think you can steal from me? I got away with it? You're a dead man. Dead!
Let me see. Now I need to give him the 3 hair tufts.
You're insane!
It's been you this whole time. You hired the assassins. You've been running Sionis' operation.
Well, technically it's my operation now. Isn't that right, boys?
You got me. Now let her go.
Oh, life would be so simple if you were all I wanted. No, you're just a teeny little distraction compared to what I've got up my sleeve. Here, have a laugh on me.
Sounds like a tiny reindeer. Man, this game is mad underappreciated in my opinion.
Opinions on it, and I personally feel split on it.
Hello, Tommy. I hope you're doing good.
I see why WB Montreal would have Joker impersonating Black Mask most of the game. It sounds like a very Joker thing to do, and it quickly gives him access to a lot of money and henchmen. However, it comes off feeling very lackluster, and I think there are a couple reasons why. Firstly, I think in general, twists involving a character taking off a mask and it turns out it was someone else the entire time rarely feel earned. It feels like an easy twist for some quick shock factor. Secondly, my other problem is more on a meta level, and it's the fact that it's Joker yet again. At this point in time, it felt like the Joker was the lead villain for everything Batman, including the last 2 Arkham games. When Arkham Origins was announced, it was exciting to hear that a new villain would be receiving the spotlight, especially a more obscure character like Black Mask. This would give WB Montreal the opportunity to provide some fresh character development and background to an underutilized character in the Arkham series, and introduce Black Mask to new fans that have likely never heard of him. When this reveal occurs and you learn that it was Joker all along, that strips all the character development away from Black Mask and gives it to a character that has been arguably overused throughout recent years. So on those 2 fronts, it feels like a disappointing reveal for me. Since this is an origin story though, I know it's inevitable that the Joker has to be introduced since he's such a prominent figure in the later games, but I think he could have taken a bit of a backseat in favor of a different villain, at least for the first half of the game. Also, I hope I'm not coming off as a Joker hater. I actually really love the character and enjoy seeing him pop up in various games, movies, and comics, but I like a lot of other Batman villains too. so I would have liked to have seen the Joker introduced here in a way that didn't detract from another villain. However, I do still appreciate that WB Montreal took a few steps to tease up this fake out. For example, as you're cruising through Gotham early on in the game, some thugs will mention how Black Mask has been acting differently lately and joking around more. More subtly, they even gave Black Mask different eye colors based on when he's the Joker. In the character files, it lists Joker as having green eyes and Roman Sionis brown eyes. When Joker is Black Mask, we can see he does in fact have green eyes. Additionally, I think they had Troy Baker voice Black Mask during the scenes where it's actually Joker under the mask. Brian Bloom is credited as voicing Black Mask, but I think that's specifically for Roman Sionis, since the voices do sound slightly different, with Sionis sounding more gruff.
And you, sir? Name Joker ring a bell? You son of a bitch! You think you can steal from me? I got away with it? You're a dead
Now
man.
for the Two Tails.
I couldn't confirm that Troy voiced these
I will
scenes,
say
but it
Tails has
sounds
some
different enough
confidence
to
in
me,
him,
and Troy Baker
especially in
definitely has
Sonic
the
2.
range to pull it off.
Yeah.
I bring this up because I definitely feel more cheated if they had a separate voice actor playing Black Mask during scenes where it's supposed to be Joker, so I'm glad they didn't go that route. Continuing on though, Joker is now officially the main villain from here on out, and we have to hunt him down. Batman wakes up to a truly horrific sight as we learn that the bank manager injected with Joker toxin is dead. To make matters worse, Joker has sent more of his henchmen to double check that we're dead as well. We take them out, but save one for last to interrogate him on Joker's whereabouts. He tells us that Joker has taken over Sionis' steel mill and is using it as a hideout. Batman presumes Joker is likely to kill Sionis at that location, so we head there next. Once inside the steel mill, we can find folders for some of the rejected assassins that Joker considered for the bounty. There's David Kane, a master assassin that actually helped to train young Bruce Wayne for a time. David also had a child with Shiva, one of the assassins that was approved to hunt us. The child is Cassandra Cain, who has held the mantle of Batgirl in the comics. There's also Cheshire. She's often a rival of the Teen Titans, but ended up falling for one of its members and having a child with him. That Teen Titan member was Roy Harper, also known as Arsenal. The last assassin is Black Spider, who sees himself more as a vigilante, often targeting the drug trade. Unlike Batman though, Black Spider is willing to kill to achieve his goals, which regularly pits them against each other. I don't think it's ever stated why these assassins were rejected by the Joker, but I have to imagine it's because Joker might have viewed their backgrounds as unreliable, making him unsure that they wouldn't just switch sides and team up with Batman. But that's just my own guess. As we infiltrate the steel mill, we notice some of the henchmen using a hidden door to a concealed room. We break our way in and come across a Joker thug screaming for help, only to then die in an elevator. After scanning his body, we learn that he was poisoned somehow prior to entering the elevator. That's certainly strange, but we have to continue our hunt for Joker and Sionis. After taking the elevator down, we discover
There you go. There's Tails with his laser cannon. I hope you're satisfied with that, Angelo.
After freeing him, Batman interrogates him, but still hasn't learned to mind his surroundings, allowing another assassin to sneak up on him mid-interrogation. This time it's Copperhead, an incredibly flexible and poisonous assassin. During a behind-the-scenes video,
Let me
we
check
get some
something
insight
real
into
quick.
how Copperhead's motion capture was accomplished, and the team needed two different specialized performers just for this one character.
It became evident that with the kind of skills that were necessary, we really needed two different stunt performers, specialists in their field.
One was more of a circus performer because we needed her to be contortionists and move in a really slinky, sexy way. And then when it came for the fighting, we went with a stunt actress that specializes in fighting.
Action. We used a combination of various things, including some acrobatics
Yeah,
and
so
some
this is-
capoeira-like moves.
It's like
And as soon as
Tails
that
is
goes,
working with Luigi.
let that teeter-totter
Aw.
you straight into the head.
Well, yeah, I'm glad you liked it. Let's see, what's another
Assistance with wires and
doodle I
stuff.
can
She
do for the
made
stream?
amazing moves, which were quite brutal.
It's really interesting seeing how they were able to bring Copperhead to life, and it's even more interesting seeing these actors perform these intricate moves for the game in real life. Going back to the game itself though, Copperhead gets the upper hand on Batman for a moment, poisoning him the same way that the thug was poisoned in the elevator. Copperhead retreats to the rafters again, assuming we're a dead man walking. We scan the room for any remnants of the neurotoxin, and send our analysis to Alfred so he can immediately develop an antidote. In the meantime, Bruce tries to muster enough strength to reach the main level again. Along
Actually,
the way,
no.
he starts to experience
I'm gonna
hallucinations,
one,
personifying his
two.
internal turmoil and guilt, kind of reminiscent of the Scarecrow levels in Arkham Asylum. One hallucination is of Alfred telling Bruce how his family would be disappointed if they could see him now, and how he's only a spoiled brat with too much money. Another is how he failed to save Commissioner Loeb from the gas chamber. The last, and certainly most creepy one, is of the bank manager.
Die. How many more must perish before you realize? Savior, you're a curse upon this city. A plague on all of Gotham. Leave us alone! We were better off without you. I'd still be alive without you.
As we make our way to the exit, Copperhead returns to stop us, but we're still hallucinating and see multiple versions of her at once. This leads to our boss fight against her, as we have to fight off all the hallucinations of her as well as the real version. She's not too difficult compared to the other swarms of enemies we faced before, and we mostly have to outlast her until Alfred is able to send in the antidote. Once we have that, we're easily able to handle Copperhead and subdue her. To keep her contained, Batman ties her up and throws her inside the back of a truck. As a last-ditch effort to earn her escape, she decides to give up the Joker's location. She mentions that all of the assassins are meeting tonight, and that she knows the location. Unfortunately for her, that's enough info for Batman, so he locks her up anyway. If all of the assassins will be meeting tonight with Joker, then Batman can track the energy signal of Electrocutioner's gloves to pinpoint the location of the meeting. This brings us to the Gotham Royal Hotel, and it seems the meeting is occurring on one of the higher floors. However, we'll need to break in from the basement and work our way up. Eventually, we make our way into the security room and watch their meeting take place.
Friends, assassins, welcome to our first quarterly performance review. As you can see here, Batman deaths are coming in far below projections.
Right. Hello to you too, Hugh.
Gonna have to turn this around.
And by we, I mean you. Got that, Mr. Kushner?
Just who the hell are you?
I'm the guy with the money. And the gun. So, when I hire you to kill the Batman, you shut the hell up and kill the Batman! So do you have anything else to contribute?
I didn't think so.
This fruitcake is fantastic!
Anyone want a piece?
All right, meeting's adjourned. Get out there and kill the bat. Move it along, big boy.
No, he's coming for you now. And when he gets here, I'm going to kill him. So you wait.
Well,
Is that DK Donkey Kong? Is my boy Venom boy Venom? Yes, it is Venom.
Electrocutioner really feels like the Taserface of Arkham Origins, extremely arrogant but seen as a joke. Every time he shows up, he gets one-shotted by someone too. He's legit dead now as well. But waste not, want not, Batman takes Electrocutioner's gloves and applies them to his gauntlets. This allows us to power up certain terminals, gaining access to previously inaccessible locations. In this case, we power up the lift to get us within range of an open window to the hotel. Eventually, we make it to the hotel's ballroom that Joker has converted into his own makeshift amusement park. Over the intercom, Joker describes how he acquired all of the equipment for it.
where did I get all of this, you ask? Well, I got a great deal on an out-of-service amusement park. Oh, you should have seen the look on the real estate agent's face when we shook hands on the deal.
The This is likely a reference to the Killing Joke graphic novel, a story we'll be referencing a few times in this video. In that story, Joker meets up with a guy selling an amusement park and tells him he'll buy it for more than it's worth. As they shake hands on the deal, it's revealed that Joker attached a device to the palm of his hand, pricking the seller and transmitting Joker toxin into him. The last we see of the seller, he's dead with that classic Joker grin. Also in this area, we can see a poster for a cancelled show at the circus, starring the Flying Graysons and their trapeze act. This is in reference to the Flying Graysons in the comics, a family who perform death-defying trapeze acts. One of the family members is Dick Grayson, the sole survivor after his parents were murdered, leaving him orphaned and later adopted by Bruce Wayne. Dick Grayson later becomes Robin.
Have you seen Venom: The Last Dance? I have not. The only Venom film I've seen in full was There Will Be Carnage, and I only saw that with Jordan because it was... Actually, I was about to say we watched it while we were dating, but I don't think that was when it was released. It was...
Once we make it to the top, we find an area littered with explosives.
But I do remember seeing the film with Jordan. But like I said, that's the only of the Venom trilogy movies that I've seen.
Be or Venom! But in that one, if you wait past the countdown, you get some additional Easter egg voice lines from the Joker. I thought maybe it was the same case here, but no, you just die. I guess that makes thematic sense though, because the Joker isn't infatuated with Batman yet and doesn't care if he dies, where in Arkham City, Joker has a different relationship towards him and is more playful in a way. But after we actually dive through the window, we hitch a ride to a news helicopter housing Vicky Vale as she reports the crime in progress. As we approach the building, you can also see two statues referencing the Court of Owls villain group from the comics, specifically Talons, a group of assassins that serve the court. On the rooftop are also a bunch of criminals, so we jump off to face them while Vicky's news helicopter records the whole thing. This leads to a brief sequence where we control Batman through the perspective of the news cameras, which I thought was pretty cool. It was also so seamless that I didn't even realize the cutscene had ended.
I've seen the entire Venom trilogy. Very good movies.
This is also the first time that Batman
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey.
Meaning that the world will now know that Batman is in fact real. Vicky Vale eventually leaves, and we're left to the rest of these henchmen. After taking them out, we continue through more of the hotel, at which point Alfred radios in, concerned for Bruce.
Sir, I've just seen the explosion at the Gotham Royal on the news. The hotel guests, are they safe?
Not now, Alfred.
Sir, are you all right? Your voice...
I'm fine, Alfred. I've dealt with psychopaths before, but this...
Sir, I strongly suggest you call in Captain Gordon. He could be a valuable ally for you.
I don't need any allies.
Throughout this game, Bruce will often be really rude and unappreciative of Alfred, and this is another example. Bruce also has it in his head that he has to do everything alone, and either out of stubbornness or arrogance, he refuses the need for additional allies, a mindset that Alfred is getting increasingly tired of. In the next room, we stealthily take out more of Joker's men, and then enter the elevator to the penthouse, the location where Joker is waiting with Bane. Batman knows that they'll immediately check the elevator when it arrives, so he cleverly decides to hide on top of it instead, so that he can easily sneak up on whoever— oh shit!
So need to stop making Spider-Man movies that don't have Spider-Man in them. That's good. Like, I remember seeing that about Craven, and, you know, I'm glad they realized how dumb their decision was.
And just in time. He's mine, Parasaur. Remember, you gave your word. You have 1 minute. Do they even have manners where he comes from? You see, it's a tradition in my house to open 1 present each on Christmas Eve. How about this one? How many lives did you just take? None. I think that was just a little stocking stuffer. A construction site blocking my view.
Also, what are you listening to? It is a retrospective podcast on Batman Arkham Origins.
I've long waited for this moment. With your death, I will find peace.
now that we're on to the fight against Bane, I want to take a brief moment to discuss him because I think WB Montreal really excelled with his portrayal. In the last cutscene alone, they demonstrate just how imposing he is both physically and mentally. I think it was clever to have him yank Batman down from the elevator, showing that Batman can't easily outsmart him, and the sound effects of Bane's punches land with a thunderous weight that always makes me wince. He's really scary in this game with not only his intimidating size and strength, but also intellect to match, and I always prefer smart Bane compared to the dumb brute we often get. Bane is legitimately both smart and strong in the comics, with his main weakness being the drug Venom that he takes to increase his strength. This is why he has those green cables attached to him, since they're pumping the Venom directly into his body. Although this drug gives him immense strength, Bane is highly dependent on it, and it can offer debilitating side effects, as we'll see later in the game. For now though, Bane is a challenging fight. We'll start off fighting in this hotel room until Bane launches us out the window back onto the balcony. Alfred is nervous for Bruce and decides to call Gordon for backup against his wishes. Until Gordon arrives, we have to hold off Bane and attempt to take him down, but that's a lot easier said than done. He's hopped up on Venom and is incredibly strong, allowing him to do a lot of damage in a short amount of time.
I want to rant about the whole deal about Sony not making Spider-Man movies and how they affected the Venom movies, but that's spoilers. I mean, if it's any consolation, Dolly, I generally do not care about spoilers for the film. Like, I did get spoiled of, like, a few small things regarding The Last Dance, but I don't want you to worry about spoilers if that's why you're holding back.
I felt legitimately scared of him during this fight. I think it's the giant mouth with the
Thoughts
exposed
on the
that look
new
unnatural, as well as the glowing green eyes.
thoughts on the new DC universe. I'm really looking forward to Superman, and I'm cautiously optimistic about it. I don't have any thoughts beyond that, honestly.
Takedowns to strip the tubes from his back. The shock gloves also give us an edge, since we can attack him more directly while they're powered up. After a while though, Gordon and his men finally arrive. With the overwhelming amount of police now on the scene, Bane decides that a retreat is best. Joker thinks he's being a coward and fires his gun at Bane's escape helicopter. In retaliation, Bane fires a rocket launcher at him. Bane misses, but the explosion launches Joker off the building, sending him free-falling towards the pavement. Batman sees Joker fall off the roof, and
it was a better Venom to Grace for Tom. Honestly, like, for all of the faults that the Venom trilogy might have had, I do think Tom Hardy is closer to Venom than Topher Grace was. Like, I think Topher Grace is good at being, like, a very petty Eddie Brock, but I think we all know that the Venom part of that was severely disappointing. Yes, it is your boy Jordan. I want Venom. Yes, we know you.
They deserved death.
See, let me check what's happening in... Now, let's see. What's another duel that I can do? How many more duels are you gonna do? Let me see, it is... We're not even past the hour point, man, you know, I think I might do maybe 2 or 3 more, since I'm kind of storming through these a lot quicker than I was expecting to. Like, I might take maybe 1 more request, but I'll probably save that one for closer to the end. I do enjoy the fact that the movies make Eddie Brock a sad, wet cat's male wife instead of just Peter's bully, but I think it's really funny.
Do not worry about what they say about you, Eddie. I will always love you no matter how pathetic you are.
I will lock and load my request. Oh dear lord.
To my surprise, the game detours us away from Batman and gives us more background on Joker, which I actually think was a very smart decision. Even though I wasn't a huge fan of that Black Mask twist, I do think WB Montreal give Joker some excellent character development from here on out, including explaining his fascination with Batman.
No matter what, you always have me, Eddie. Which, depending on who you talk to, is very sad, but I promise I will not say it out loud around you.
And he gives her a monologue regarding his past, beginning by asking Harley if she's ever had a really bad day. This is another nod to the Killing Joke, where Joker presumes that everyone has the capacity to go crazy like him, all it takes is one bad day. That's how it happened for him, and he's correct in that Batman started out the same way, the day his parents were murdered in front of him. In the Killing Joke, Joker aims to prove this.
Okay, that's fair, Hugh. I just... honestly, not for nothing, it's really hard to tell sometimes. Favorite Batman villain? Well, I do like Joker. I used to like Harley, but I've honestly been kind of burnt out regarding Harley. Aside from those two... Two-Face I think is pretty interesting, and lately I've been growing a lot more appreciation for Mr. Freeze. I honestly think he's a very fascinating villain that I would love to see them do more with. And,
Prior to trying to become a comedian,
I'm trying to think if there are any other big villains that appeal to me like that. Not sure, to be honest.
Plant inside and out to navigate them through it so they could rob the place next to it. Prior to the robbery, Joker learns that his wife and unborn child died in an electrical accident, but the Red Hood gang still force him to assist in the robbery. The day of the robbery, the Red Hood gang place a red helmet and cape over his head to conceal his identity.
There's already a Clayface movie coming out this year. Yeah, I am aware of that.
They make him look like the leader of the gang, so the police will focus on him instead of the actual gang members. It works, since when they accidentally trip the alarm, the police and Batman focus on who they perceive to be the leader. In a panic, he jumps off the ledge and into the water of the Ace chemical plant, turning his skin pale white and his hair green, transforming him into the Joker. The game doesn't give this information directly and is instead more of a dreamlike interpretation of it as we watch Joker walk around in the Red Hood attire.
Actually, yeah, I think I'll do something
because even in the Killing Joke, Joker admits that he often remembers his origin differently, and that if he had to pick a past for himself, it would be multiple choice. As we continue walking through Joker's mind, he'll occasionally have visions of a giant bat creature, and prior to its appearance, we can see a blink and you miss it flash of something before it shows up. It's nothing too major, but the flashes are of a couple different images, reminiscent of a Rorschach ink blot test that you might receive from your psychiatrist. The first one looks like a bat, then the next one kind of explodes in brightness, before transforming into the final one that kind of looks like a face with a crazy smile with bats flying around it. Maybe I'm just projecting my own subconscious onto it, but I think it's cool the way it combines elements of both Batman and Joker's iconography to demonstrate how the two are fused together in Joker's mind. Throughout this scene, we can hear Joker's conversation with Harley as he details his thoughts on fate.
My favorite Batman villain is Condiment King. I still can't believe that's an actual thing. Yeah.
Now listen, Mustard Man, or whatever you call yourself.
And how he feels that Batman is the same as him, but Harley assumes he's talking about her, teasing up their twisted relationship.
Yeah, I need to make sure which item is in which hand. I think some of you might know where I'm getting at with this.
Joker and Harley have a terrible relationship where Joker is often abusive and takes advantage of her, so having Harley foolishly misunderstand Joker's words here and him take advantage of that feels very true to those characters. I also love how it then transitions to Batman having a similar internal struggle about the man that he met tonight, as he has flashbacks of his interaction with Joker.
Okay, chicken's in the right hand and milk is in the left.
Scarecrow sequences in Arkham Asylum, where Batman takes a stroll down Crime Alley and witnesses the death of his parents again, as he ponders why he does what he does. If you're wondering why Batman decided to save the Joker, it's never explicitly stated in the game. His no-kill rule is because he feels like if he kills once, he'll lose control and kill more, but in this case, he wouldn't have killed the Joker and totally could have pulled the...
I won't kill you, but I don't have to save you.
So why did he save the Joker? I think it's meant to be an unclear answer that maybe Bruce isn't even too sure of, and it definitely makes Batman all the more fascinating to Joker. My personal interpretation is that Bruce believes in the rehabilitation for even the worst criminals, and that he wants to prevent any death that he can in order to honor his parents. It's of course very open to interpretation though, so I'd be very curious to hear what you all think. But even with the Joker behind bars, the night still isn't over since Bane is still on the loose. The police scanner picks up a report of someone matching Bane's description being killed and held at the morgue.
Does Catwoman even count as a villain nowadays? She's more of an anti-hero.
Alfred doesn't approve and is tired of Bruce rushing out to...
I don't know, like I think people do consider her more of an anti-hero nowadays.
This incredible cutscene between the two of them.
Master Bruce, stop! Master Bruce, Bruce, I will not in good conscience allow you to go. You're outmatched by these assassins. You're not some hardened vigilante. You're a young man with a trust fund and too much anger. You're in over your head, and I don't want this to be your end.
Alfred, who do you see when you look at me? The boy whose shoes you used to tie every morning? stops to think twice. That is fear. That is what I am. That is why they hired assassins, because I am the reason the criminals breathe easier when the sun rises. So no, Alfred, I am not in over my head. Tonight will be my end, but it will be theirs.
This could be my favorite cutscene in the game, just from a pure character development standpoint. It's short, but it goes a long way to show Bruce and Alfred's perspectives on Bruce's crusade. Alfred is genuinely fearful that Bruce will die out there, and Bruce feels that he is the only one who can truly save Gotham. This younger Bruce Wayne is a lot more cocky and stubborn, unwilling to accept help, and carries the weight of the world on his shoulders. Alfred knows Bruce can't do it alone, and is trying to convince him otherwise. They provide a good balance for each other, and I think I like this cutscene so much because it gives insight into their relationship that we don't usually get from these games. Also, Bruce has been a real dick to Alfred this entire game.
I
So
do
it's
enjoy
nice to see
Catwoman
Alfred
being
stand
an
up to
anti-hero.
her
I love her.
fellow.
She's a great
Thankfully, though,
character.
Bruce and Alfred apologize to each other
Why you
pretty much
snooze?
immediately,
He
stating that
snoozed
they
because
understand where the
he's
other is
just
coming from.
tired.
With them back on good terms, we sneak back into the GCPD to examine the body in the morgue. Unfortunately, the body doesn't belong to Bane, and is instead one of his Venom-enhanced henchmen. After reviewing the autopsy, Batman is able to determine that this henchman was using a new variation of the Venom drug that gives increased strength but has a side effect of damaging the brain's memory center. As we're analyzing the body, Bane's tracker becomes active, so we leave to chase him down. The tracker leads us to Bane's hideout. In the hallway, we can see a couple Easter eggs. On the ground are some newspapers referencing an identity thief, and judging by the bandages on the victims' faces, I'm guessing this has to do with the villain Hush, a skilled plastic surgeon able to alter his own appearance to look like someone else. There's also reused assets from Arkham Asylum of Killer Croc. I'm not sure why they're here, but it could have something to do with Croc and Bane's rivalry in the comics. When Bane first shows up to Gotham, he decides to make a grand entrance by easily defeating Gotham's strongest villain, Killer Croc. It's basically the idea of punching out the biggest dude in prison on your first day. In this case, Bane shows up, breaks both of Croc's arms, and walks away. Croc hates him for this, and when he later heals, he attacks Bane for revenge. So perhaps these images here are insinuating that Bane has been studying the strength of Killer Croc. Once we make it inside Bane's actual hideout, it seems he's already left, but this gives us an opportunity to investigate. We learn that Bane has been experimenting with a new form of venom, calling it TN1, likely the same stuff used by the corpse at the morgue. Unfortunately for Bane, it seems he hasn't been able to find a way to bypass the memory-damaging side effects of TN1. Further investigation of Bane's hideout leads us to another room where Bane has a bat computer of his own. On the screen, he has an interview clip of Bruce Wayne on loop, next to an image of Batman, indicating that Bane has deduced our secret identity. This is in line with the comics, since Bane was able to figure out that Bruce Wayne was Batman during the Nightfall series. In that story, Bane causes a breakout at Arkham Asylum, causing many of Batman's worst villains to run rampant on Gotham. Batman would spend the next few months rounding them up, exhausting himself in the process. This was Bane's plan, and he waited until Bruce was at his breaking point, and then snuck into Wayne Manor to break him for good. In a rage, Batman blows up the entire room, destroying all of Bane's evidence that he's Batman. Still, Bane is a major risk, so Batman warns Alfred to hide out in the Batcave, since Bane may target Wayne Manor. Batman intends to rush over to protect Alfred, but as luck would have it, this is the exact moment that the assassin Firefly has taken hostages and planted bombs on the bridge. Batman is forced to make a tough choice, either rush to Alfred or save the hostages on the bridge. He assumes that Alfred will be safe in the Batcave,
Wait, are you
so he
drawing what I
decides to
think you're
handle
drawing?
Firefly.
Yes,
We're
I
gonna see where
am.
this is going.
Because first off, because I really need to draw more stuff involving Trevor, and second off, because I like drawing funny stuff every now and then.
Stupidly doing all of this for nothing. Nonetheless, he's rigged the bridge with bombs that he'll detonate if any police set foot on it. However, Gordon doesn't know about the bombs and is planning to have his men breach to rescue the hostages. Batman uses the Batwing to lure away Firefly so he can sneak in and warn Gordon. Like Batman, Gordon is stubborn and won't hear him out. Batman now has to hurry to disarm the bombs, potentially without Gordon's help. We successfully disarm 2 of the bombs, but another one is locked behind a fire door that Gordon has access to. Batman tells Gordon to open up the door, and Gordon basically tells him to screw off. So instead, Batman tasks Alfred with hacking the codes to the door so he can access them himself. In the meantime, we go defuse the 3rd bomb. Firefly has started destroying the bridge though, leaving much of it in ruins. Gordon then decides to have his men breach the bridge, ignoring Batman's warnings. Alfred provides Batman with the codes to bypass the locked fire door, and we head for the 4th bomb. Along the way, we're intercepted by Firefly, who has the remote detonator in his hand. Batman manages to disarm the detonator from him, but we're forced to fight him now to keep him away from it. Firefly is a pretty unique boss fight compared to everyone else we've fought though. Since Firefly is airborne, we have to use different strategies to combat him. Primarily our utility belt, since we'll be using our glue grenade to trap him in a glob of glue, long enough for us to whip batarangs at him for damage. After doing that a few times, we'll fire the bat claw at him and pull him close for a damaging kick. Despite our best efforts, Firefly's jetpack gives him a speed advantage and he's able to reclaim the detonator. Now armed with the detonator, Firefly decides to blow up the bridge, killing everyone on it, including Batman. To our surprise, the detonator doesn't work, meaning Gordon and his men must have reached the bomb in time to disarm it. Now that we don't have to worry about the bombs, we can go back to fighting Firefly. The rest of this boss
I hear they're
fight
gonna
plays
make
out
more
exactly
versions of
like
Phineas and
earlier.
Ferb,
Lava
because
fire,
apparently
blue grenades,
one version's not enough for
use
them.
the Bat Claw to reel him in. It's
Because
pretty
I say
straightforward,
that because I feel like that's a show that has been kind of like canceled and revived and canceled and revived more times than I feel is entirely necessary.
But ultimately, it was a pretty cool boss fight overall, and I also enjoyed that Firefly has some of the cheesiest lines in the game. With Firefly taken down though, Batman decides to briefly meet up with Gordon. Even though they're still a bit resistant towards each other, they also seem to have a bit more respect for one another now.
You didn't listen. I'm not big on taking orders from wanted men. I'm not big on taking orders from cops. I should have gotten to that last bomb. Yeah. And I should have given you access to that security door. But between the two of us, we covered it pretty well.
Now that the bridge is under control again, Batman heads back to the Batcave, but it seems he's too late.
Alfred, I am in your house. Bruce, Bane, come home. Say your goodbyes. Once you've had time to turn grief to anger, then you'll be ready to face me. I have left enough life in him for some final words. If you hurry, Alfred!
Once at the Batcave, we find Alfred under the rubble of the incomplete Batmobile, and Alfred is on the verge of death. Batman feels that he's failed Alfred the same way that he failed his parents, but he has an idea to save him. Seeing those paramedics at the GCPD gives him the idea to use his shock gloves as a defibrillator and beat Alfred back to life. Alfred's alive, but Bruce is still at a low point with a lot of self-doubt. He no longer feels that he can save Gotham, stating that he can't even protect his own home. Alfred gives him some words of encouragement, but also tells him that he can't do this alone, and that he needs to start accepting help from others. At this moment, it's broadcasted that the Joker has escaped from his cell in Blackgate prison and has started a riot. Gordon is requesting help from anyone who can provide it. Alfred's words of wisdom give Bruce the motivation to rise again as Batman, and this is also the turning point for their relationship. Bruce treats him more as an ally instead of a servant, and it seems that Bruce is now more open to working with others instead of trying to handle everything on his own. The next order of business, though, is stopping the riots at Blackgate for the second time tonight. The Joker has managed to escape containment, and Blackgate is out of control. After sneaking in, we save a few hostages, one of which is Harley and Quinzel, who informs us that Joker is in the Panopticon waiting for us. I don't think it's ever stated in the game, but I have to assume Harley was the one who helped him to escape after seeing her start to fall for him. That's pretty much the last we'll see of her for the rest of the game, though, but we do come across one other familiar face before reaching the Panopticon. That person being Slade Wilson, Deathstroke. Apparently, the Joker wouldn't let Slade out of his cell because he's too scared of him, and rightfully so. After fighting our way through the prison some more, we eventually make it to the Panopticon, where Joker has designed a sick game aimed at testing Batman's moral code.
Let him go!
I understand you. You had a chance to let me die, and you didn't take it. I bet right now you're wishing you had. I've killed a lot of people. I've brought the city to its knees, crippled the police force, and it's not even time to unwrap our presents. Ship it!
Let's do this.
Okay. So, what our friend Bane holds in his hand is a heart monitor. Once he clamps it on, every beat of his bacon little heart will charge the battery on this electric chair. And when it's fully charged... So either you kill Bane...
No. Won't kill him.
There we go. Sorry about that. Just had to take care of some puppy stuff.
Resolve, or you will die. Someone is going
Yeah, that's a he. Basically, this is a recreation of a... First off, that Z could be better. It's a recreation of a Phineas and Ferb meme.
We're now on to our second boss fight against
There we go,
Bane,
that'll have to
and
do.
it works a lot like the first. We have to dodge his charges and stun him to deal damage. One cool thing I forgot to mention about his attacks is that he'll occasionally grab you and lift you over his head. If you fail to escape, he'll crack you over his knee the same way he did in that iconic image from Nightfall, where he broke Batman's back. We ultimately won't beat Bane during this battle, though, as he...
Okay, you know what? I think I have it in me for 2 more drawings. What's your request, Hugh?
The Joker, and who knew Joker had moves like that? Gordon is now at risk at dying to the electric chair alongside Joker, but luckily, Batman has an idea. Thinking back to those paramedics and the way Electrocutioner taunted him, he thinks he can kill Bane and then bring him back to life with the shock
Dog.
box. This takes us into round 2.
Oh, okay, I know what you mean. Hang on. Just gotta get a reference picture of him first. Actually, wait, I should do it here.
The game is over, Joker. Let Captain Gordon go. Yeah, put the gun down, freak.
How about I put you down? Well, that's the Christmas spirit.
Well, there's an actual model sheet for him. That makes it a lot more easier on me.
Stockings to stuff, mistletoe to hang, and about 15 skyscrapers to blow up before sunrise.
Yep. Just pulling that up there for reference.
Thank God you had your vest on. He's got my gun. Gordon, Joseph, I need your help to stop the Joker. Our help? You're the so-called vigilante. Or is one kill enough for you tonight? Bane's in cardiopulmonary arrest. I have only minutes to resuscitate him before it's too late. You mean you didn't? That's not how I do things. Now go.
Like with Alfred, we attempt to bring Bane back to life, and as you'd expect, he immediately grabs us by the throat.
Just gotta make sure to get the eye right.
You leave me no choice, Mr. Wayne.
This
leads to our final boss fight against Bane, and if I thought he was scary in the prior levels, he's downright terrifying here. You can't directly engage him in combat, and if you try, he'll deal out devastating hits. Even worse, he starts to learn your tactics, realizing that you like to hide in the vents and floor grates to take him down. He'll occasionally reach into a vent that you're hiding in, leading to plenty of oh shit moments on my end, thinking I had the upper hand. Bane is somewhat unpredictable during this fight, and I was always nervous to approach him, unsure if he'd flip around at the last second and crush me. Just when you get comfortable handling him, the game throws you a curveball and activates a jammer, disabling your ability to track him in detective vision. This means you'll have to nervously leave cover, hoping that Bane isn't nearby so you can disable the jammer. I think that was a really smart decision by the developers and helped to up the tension. Overall, I love this fight, and I found myself being audibly scared at times, which I think makes it a successful encounter. When I could finally muster up the courage to attack Bane, the strategy was to sneak up on him and perform a stealth takedown, throwing him into a wall or ideally into one of these electrified cell doors. Afterwards, he'll start to rampage in a desperate effort to chase you down, so you'll hide and repeat the same process. After dealing enough damage, Bane is finally down for the count, and Batman radios Alfred to let him know that, oh shit.
Master Bruce, are you all right?
With Bane on a final rampage,
I don't think Superman Returns is that bad. I can't stay awake watching the movie.
Dealing him an incredibly powerful electric shock.
Actually, I don't
Bane
remember if
passes
I've
out,
even seen
Batman
Superman
leaves suspended
Returns
in the air for
personally.
police to find. While hoisting him up, Bane continually murmurs to himself that he must find the Batman, indicating that Bane's use of TN1 has damaged his memory center, and that he's permanently forgotten who Bruce Wayne is. This also explains why he's more of a brute in Arkham Asylum, and why he doesn't know our identity there either. Batman calls Alfred to give him the good news, but we still have to apprehend the Joker. As we make our way back through Blackgate, we find that Warden Joseph has been shot by a sniper, distracting us from the reemergence of Killer Croc. Croc grabs us, giving the sniper the perfect opportunity to strike when Gordon shows up at the opportune time to take him out. Croc decides this is a good time to leave, as more of Joker's guards arrive to stop us. This leads to a pretty cool little section where we get to fight alongside Gordon to protect the Warden. Even though you may not get a real sense of it here, Gordon is actually a pretty solid fighter due to prior military training. In the Batman Year 1 comic, Gordon single-handedly takes down his corrupt partner Detective Flass, a much larger opponent with Green Beret training. Flass and the rest of the police force didn't like that Gordon wasn't taking bribes and that he was...
I know it's a mute movie, but just pretend for the sake, in this AU, he's capable of speaking, and his very first words are saying thank you to Hugh specifically.
...tied up in the woods as a way to send his own message. So if you've ever wondered why Gordon has been able to stay the only honest cop in Gotham, this is a good example of him holding his own. This moment with Flass is also alluded to in one of the audio files where Commissioner Loeb and Black Mask discuss how they can deal with Gordon and that having him jumped already failed, so they need another solution to keep him in line. Black Mask tells Loeb not to have Gordon killed since they need the good PR that Gordon brings, so Loeb decides that blackmail is the better option and tasks Detective Bullock to set up a honeypot trap for Gordon, meaning they want to trick Gordon into cheating on his wife.
He says, "Hey man," in the movie.
This is likely a reference
to
Batman Year 1 as well, since Gordon did cheat on Barbara in that.
Like, I only saw it, like, the one time, like, when I was telling you about it. Like, I probably do need to watch it again sometime in the future.
Attempted to use them to blackmail Gordon.
Alright, last doodle for tonight.
Gordon opted to tell Barbara about the affair, removing the leverage
Can I make this a good one?
and beginning the downfall of his marriage. Going back to the main story though, Gordon stays with Warden Joseph as Batman confronts Joker in the chapel. Batman tells Joker that Bane is alive, and then proceeds to beat the shit out of him, going full anime style on him with a rapid flurry of punches. Batman begins to choke the Joker to the point that it seems like he might kill him. Joker even seems like he wants him to do it. Batman manages to pull himself together.
Probably going to stream it sometime to get Dolly to watch it.
Oh, that'd be neat. Let me know when you two watch it. I might join in on that.
Arrest him, but he gets distracted and Batman flees.
There's a Street Fighter movie coming out next year.
Really? I didn't know
He
that.
tells her about how this night has changed his perspective and how
Oh, you know what?
he
I
hopes
think
that
I
both he
know
and
one
Batman
thing that I
can
could
give
do
the
for
people
a
of Gotham
final
something to
drawing.
believe in. We also see the Joker as he's being wheeled back into prison, and he's still amused at how Batman was able to outthink him earlier. We also see Harley is right beside him, setting up their relationship for Arkham Asylum. And that ends the main story of Batman Arkham Origins. In the credits, we get one final moment of foreshadowing as we listen to an interview on the Jack Ryder radio show. One of his guests is Quincy Sharp, the future warden of Arkham Asylum. Quincy blames all of Gotham's Christmas Eve problems on the failings of Blackgate Prison, feeling that we need a stronger institution to house these more high-risk inmates. He states that he will reopen the currently defunct Arkham Asylum and make it into an institution for the criminally insane, housing the worst of Gotham's criminals like the Joker. Quincy's words are also incredibly ironic, knowing that the Joker will one day cause a riot in there too, but that's a story for a different video. As far as the story in this game, I think it was expertly written. I know I had some gripes with the Black Mask Joker twist, but it's far from ruinous to the game, especially since I think the rest of it is done so well. I think where it excels the most though is its character development and how it sets up the relationships that we've come to know in the other Arkham games. For example, I found that scene between Bruce and Alfred to be really powerful, and it's cool seeing Bruce grow as a person to be more accepting of help from others. Batman's relationship with Gordon was also well established, as they started off reluctant to trust each other and then slowly began to respect what the other was doing. I also like how they explain Joker's fascination with Batman and how they're two sides of the same coin. Since Joker is such a prominent villain in the Arkham series, I think it was right to take a moment and delve into his psyche by giving us that brief level focused on him as well. I also really loved how they handled Bane. The way he could knock around Batman and outthink him made Bane feel like a genuine threat, and he was legitimately scary to me. I also think he had the best and most challenging boss fights in the game. The cinematics were also top-notch, and there was a lot of skill demonstrated with how each shot was framed, as well as the direction of the motion capture. There were some truly epic cinematics, like the opening one setting the tone for the game, or the first-person view of Loose Lips being dangled from the roof, and how terrifying Batman looked to him. The cinematics went a long way to enhance the storytelling of the game, and they were a joy to watch throughout. WB Montreal definitely brought their A-game to the storytelling, and I was incredibly engaged throughout it. It's tough to do, but I definitely think they managed to meet the high standards set by the other Arkham games. The story isn't quite done yet though, as we still have another end credits scene and a DLC. For the end credits scene, we see Deathstroke still in his cell as he's approached by Amanda Waller, enlisting him to Task Force X, aka the Suicide Squad. This is a pretty cool tease, and I believe it picks up in a small tie-in game that released after this one called Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate. My understanding is that is a full game on its own, so we'll save that for a potential future video. But now let's get into the DLC story, Cold Cold Heart. This story focuses on the villain Mr. Freeze and takes place shortly after the events of the main game on New Year's Eve.
People caring for people. Compassion. That's the foundation Gotham was built on. And I have proudly built Golf Corp on that same foundation. That's why we're called the People Company. Thank you so much. Please.
Mr. Boyle seems to be after your title as Gotham's biggest philanthropic industrialist.
Gotham needs more people like him. Bruce! Hey. I am blown away by your support.
It's well deserved. You're going to change the world, Ferris.
Hey, we'll change it together, right?
Pardon me, Mr. Boyle. The press is waiting. This way,
I'd
please.
say the future is looking very, very bright for Gotham. Now, it's almost midnight, and you all know what that means. Let's get this New Year's Eve party going with the... Forget to pay your heating bill, Bruce?
Support indie content, Sunny Gems! I wish you weren't horrendous draw anymore. Honestly, yeah, I don't blame you. Anyway, let's go ahead and... I'd say that's pretty consent. So what do you guys think? Do you think that's enough for tonight?
An award ceremony at the mansion, and Bruce sneaks off to get the Batsuit. He's apprehended by some of Freeze's men, but easily takes them down, freeing Alfred in the process as well. Before heading straight to the
Does
Batcave,
indie rock
take a
music
moment to
count
explore
as
Wayne
indie
Manor,
content?
a cool
Sure,
detail
why not?
that
All
Bruce
indie content
mentions
matters.
Bruce's ancestors, one of which is Solomon Wayne, Bruce's great-great-great-great-grandfather from the 1800s. Solomon was a judge and entrepreneur who funded a lot of Gotham's architecture during this time through talented architect Cyrus Pinckney, a character we'll be discussing more a bit later. We can also see a portrait of Solomon's brother Joshua Wayne, who ran the various Wayne businesses. Solomon and Joshua also via the caves under Wayne Manor. There's also Sir
I'm
Gawain
guessing that
Mowbray,
means Dolly
who
enjoys
provided
it.
support from the 14th
When she
century.
becomes incomprehensible, it's a sign that she enjoys it.
Access to the Batcave. We'll encounter guards along the way, forcing us to take them out silently. This was a pretty fun challenge. So
Alright, but in all seriousness, I think I'm going to go ahead and end for tonight. Thank you all again for joining, for stopping by. I appreciate the company and the good vibes. And, yeah, I hope you all have a good rest of your weekend. See yas.